Hey everybody, it's Linda and Sterling.
Good morning, everybody. Nice to see everybody.
This-
Nice Sunday morning.
You look kind of holy with the white. You're glowing.
Yeah, well, it's always got to change it up, right? You got to
Right,
switch it up.
exactly. So I wanted to make an announcement that Sterling's at 15.5, you said?
They were like 15,400 subscribers.
Subscribers. So when he hits 16, I'm going to give a free reading and they'll pick it. But they have a method to pick, and now I'm going to use it because that cutting everybody and put it in a basket is hard. He actually found an app that allows, it even spins the names of all the people that make comments, and then you just hit stop.
Yeah, it's a great app that allows you to kind of load in even thousands of people that comment on a video, and then the algorithm runs behind and it will choose a random winner. So much easier, faster, much more high tech than tickets in a basket.
I know. Me and my sister, we worked for days on that.
Wow. Well, I'm going to send it after the show.
Yeah. And I'm still getting put me in the basket. I think I'll start using that way. For now, I may use the basket since I work so damn hard on it. I may use it for now. And the membership upgrades all the time. They give every month it upgrades. So, okay. So we have questions. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Linda. That you don't really know what the questions are going to be. You just sort of go along with the flow.
No, exactly. Right. And just, to reiterate, we've said this before, but because there's such a high volume of questions that come in, there's a need for somebody to screen that not only like what's appropriate, not appropriate, and then also have we answered it like on prior shows. So just try to, screen them out and get them in a way that makes sense. So, yeah.
So I haven't even looked at them yet. I could, but I don't, because I like to be surprised like you.
Yeah.
So, okay.
And by the way, the only one that I do is that I'll get asked before the shows who wants to come through. So for the person that we bring through on these shows, I usually have a chat with them before the show, kind of thing.
Okay.
So,
they're in the green room.
They are.
Okay, from the other side, Paul Newman. Does he have a message for us?
He does. Now, everybody knows who Paul Newman is. I never really, I really know him that well, other than, let's say, the public persona. So when I sat down and chatted with him, it was kind of interesting. I felt he was a much even deeper human being than I would have realized. I mean, he really, for me, now on the other side, he was telling me that the key meaning of his life was all the philanthropy he did. It wasn't about the movies or all that, but it was the philanthropy. And even there's a lot of things that he said people knew about and people didn't know about. So he was talking about, obviously, Newman's Own, did a lot of great things and was actually like the catalyst for many other things he did. But here's the interesting part. He was telling me that he had charities like, I think it was the Hole in the Wall Gang, I think was what the name of it, but it was for like critically ill children, Hole in the Wall Gangs, like try to help. And he told me that now he's actually helps and greets a lot of those children as they cross over, these critically ill children. So it was kind of like his human life here on the planet parallel with what's going on right now. The other thing he said, can we talk really quickly? And I said, sure. He said, I'm very concerned about, I guess his wife was Joanne Woodward, right?
Joanne, yes.
Joanne. And I think things are difficult for her right now. So he was just asking kind of very to send love to her and, make sure that things go well for her, but just feels like she's going through a difficult time health-wise right now.
Okay.
So I think she's in her 90s now.
So is she in her 90s? Okay.
I believe so. And I don't know a lot. It said, please everybody send prayers for her. And so I'm putting that out there because he asked for that.
It's funny you said her name because while you were talking about him, I felt her and I felt very sad because I think after he died, she never quite recovered.
Yeah. And so, I mean, he's helping from the other side. He's saying a lot of love to her. He loved her a great deal. So anyway, that did come up. And the last thing he was telling me was that he's actually very politically involved on the other side as well. So he was very politically involved when he was here. He was telling me, again, a lot of things he did that maybe not everybody saw. But on the other side, he's working with a whole team of people to try to make sure that our political landscape goes the right direction in this country. So a very nice guy. And it's almost like 10% of what he was, for me, was like the Hollywood side, like 90% was all the good he did.
Right.
The philanthropy and all the stuff he tried to do to help politicians and people and critically ill children. So a wonderful discussion. Yeah.
Didn't he lose his son too? I think he might have lost his son.
I do, yeah. And we didn't go into a lot of that. It seemed like he spent more time worried about Joanne
Yeah.
when I was talking with
I
him.
think
So,
she was a soulmate. I think his connection with her
oh,
was
sure.
pretty
Absolutely,
powerful.
absolutely, yeah.
They really were intense with each other. And energetically, he wasn't like this big social thing. He didn't even like the Hollywood scene.
Yeah, he was, for me, he was very grounded when he was here and also on the other side. Like he kind of knew who he was, what his purpose was. He really did. Yeah,
A beautiful man.
absolutely.
Okay, how or what can assure us that it is our guides, not ego or fear that's talking to us? That's a great question.
Yeah. That question comes up a lot from all different types of people. So, there's always an effort to turn on the gift, right? To turn the psychic mediumship gift. It takes a little bit of practice and it's not that difficult. Everybody can do it. Everybody's born a psychic medium. But once the information starts coming through, the trust is what takes longer. So, people will get all kinds of information, say, well, I don't trust it. So I kiddingly tell people it's like the same way you get to Carnegie Hall, practice, practice, practice. So it's actually the validation of the information that comes through that helps you understand if it's you or your guides. So
Right, that's good. Will there be an effective treatment or cure for macular degeneration?
of the eyes, yeah. Absolutely. This is all going to be fully self-contained with all the gene splicing technology that we're going to see within 5 years. So that's all part of once the breakthrough happens with all the gene splicing technology, it'll also start a whole new leg of medicine and the medical community. It's almost like giving the entire medical community a new set of building blocks. And now you can use those building blocks to do almost anything. So yeah, the answer is yes.
Can you read on the recount by Republicans? I don't know if you saw that at all, Rachel. It's like a bad dream. It's so ugly that they're giving the ballots to people who believe there has been a stolen election. Can you read on the recount by Republicans in the Maricopa County in Arizona this weekend? What will happen regarding it? But mind you, they've had 3 or 4 recounts.
Yeah, I mean, what I'm being told here is it's going to move forward. So the process of recounting is going to move forward at some great expense. Who's ever paying for it? I'm not sure where all this money is coming from, but it's going to just produce the same results that we've already seen.
Okay.
So the recount will show that Biden was the winner. It's just another futile attempt to blow smoke, on everything. So yeah.
But are they trying to cheat? Are they hoping to cheat in some sort of way?
They are, but they won't be able to because there's too many people that already understand the rules, regulations, how the count is. They won't be able to cheat.
Okay.
So
Thank you. Oh, it's raining outside. Will the movie and Broadway producer Scott Rudin go to jail, be sued for abusing his assistants for decades? I don't have any idea what this is about. Do you know who Scott Rudin is?
yeah, I think he's a producer on Broadway. I think he did the Book of Mormon for one thing. Remember the Book of Mormon?
Yeah.
And a number of other successful plays. What I get on that, I do not pick up jail time for him, but I do pick up a lot of court time and very expensive. So I guess these are, for me, these look like settlements to me, like people lining up. These are all settlements.
So he was.
It doesn't appear. Yeah, there'll be some settlements on his behalf, paying out for things that were done. Yeah.
Can you give me an example of what he did?
Well, I think what they're telling me here is it has a lot to do with, it's that whole Me Too movement, right? So a lot of things that were done, I don't want to go into too much detail here because it's for entertainment purposes only. Right. But you could just look at some of the trials, like the Weinstein trial, and there's some things going on here that were not appropriate.
Okay. So, all right. The Northern Lights look so beautiful. Do they bring any special psychic energy to the earth? God, you get great questions, by the way.
Yeah, thanks. Well, they're beautiful, but they're not, there's no psychic intent to them. But what they are is, I'll call it the magic of the universe, because it's really interaction of the Earth's magnetic field with like charged particles from the sun. So in that way, our one force, created it all. And so it's wonderful, but it's not very psychic information per se. That was the question, but
Yeah. When a person with Alzheimer's dies, do they instantly come out of the confused state they were in?
They do, 100%. And that's like a lot of ills that people have that they do, whether it's, they can't breathe, or they don't walk very well, or whatever the ills are they had here in the human body, they definitely completely cast that off as they cross over. The one interesting thing I'll tell you, and this comes up all the time, many times spirits will leave the body sometimes days before the human body gives up.
Okay.
And so like, let's say Alzheimer's patient, maybe in the last throes of life, or the last day they crossed, they may have had a great deal of difficulty. Their spirit may have left 3 days earlier.
Okay.
And I'll tell you that real quickly, a real quick story on that. Linda had a friend that she's a very close friend, and her father had passed away, and she was very concerned about it. I really didn't know this friend that well, but anyway, her father had Alzheimer's, and she was very concerned about it. And it did come up. I said, look, your father actually left his body days before that incident in the hospital. And she relayed to my wife that she actually was sitting in the lobby, I guess the rest home where her father was, like 3 or 4 days before that, and saw a white spirit passing through the lobby that she thought was her father. I just got cold chills. So it's just a confirmation that, her father had left, the spirit had left days before.
No use for that body.
Yeah.
What do you see for the future of the environment? Do you see the nations of the world coming together to really commit to fighting climate change?
I do, for 2 major reasons. One is because people are kind of rising to a higher vibrational level. So populations and governments, they're understanding there's a larger purpose to what's going on. And fundamentally, there's also an economic purpose. So as more economic devastation happens due to earth-changing events, or earthquakes and hurricanes and floods, governments will take that seriously because of the economic impact. So the answer is yes, all the way around.
I'm just hearing about COVID. It's getting out of control in India. Could you please ask your guides if the leaders in India and the rest of the world will take the right actions to get this situation under control, to save their citizens and prevent a new wave of variants?
They will, 100%. They're telling me it's a little bit of a couple of month ramp up here, but my guides always saw that by summer, like by the end of summer of this year, there'd be 4 major manufacturers producing vaccine and hundreds of millions of doses. And so that supply will then go around the world, including India. So the answer is yes. I mean, India will get taken care of here very shortly as the ramp up of vaccines available.
Okay. And, can I make just a quick statement too? I've gotten a couple of emails from people, especially that's Robert F. Kennedy, saying that why you shouldn't do the vaccine. And you can do the vaccine or not do the vaccine. That's your choice. It's called free will. But I don't want to be sent that information, because let me tell you, I heard before the vaccine came, there would be a vaccine from my guides who also predicted the virus was coming. So I trust my guides. So they didn't say to me, oh, and Linda, don't take the COVID vaccine because it's, So I'm 100% for the vaccine. I just lost a cousin the other day, 58 years old, from COVID. My son did have a reaction to the second one, but he's doing fine. I would rather take it and be safe. So I just want to say that. Please don't send me anything about these people who really aren't science-based, most of them, the reasons why. That's fine. You don't have to take it. If you're too frightened, don't take it. That's my spiel.
I got it. And by the way, I'm going to add another comment on there, is that the one force, God, our angels and guides, they work with everybody down here, not just patients, but also doctors and vaccine companies. So I'm saying that, there's a lot of spiritual and universal help around our health and around keeping us safe. So is everything perfect? Well, in the universe, everything's perfect, but down here, there's mankind. I get it.
Yeah.
But a lot of these things are meant to help mankind. So just take that for what it's worth.
Right, because there's just certain humans that will have polio saved so many children's lives. There was a bad batch that was made in Berkeley that killed 122,000 people,
Right.
children. But that was a mistake, a human error. But
Mhm.
there are flu. Sometimes people just have a bad reaction to a vaccine. I understand that. But the whole of it, like you said, why do we get these hits from the other side to tell us even something as simple as washing hands will stop infections with these mothers? It wasn't until midwives had their own hospitals and they washed their hands that they noticed that the mothers weren't getting infections like they did with the doctors.
Right.
So all of this is from a place beyond us.
It's all divinely guided.
Yeah.
That's the one thing. This is divinely guided. So
Okay, and we go on. Several Western states are allowing the hunting of gray wolves that are only just coming back from the brink of extinction. Will they be protected by new policies from the Biden administration?
yes, 100%. But what I'm being told is it's like tied up in some other legislation that maybe won't see the light of day till 2022.
Okay.
So it's like, yes, there'll be help, but it's in some larger legislation. So it looks like, you'll start to see the results next year, 2022.
Is it overpopulated now, or have you heard?
No, I mean, what I heard is that there's just some bad hunting going on that's, not in the environment's best interest. And so we still need a balance there. So that I think this legislation is going to help maintain the balance.
Okay. Last week, the NYPD brought a robotic dog with them to a domestic dispute call. Is this the beginning of robotic cops? AI robotic cops?
In a larger sense, artificial intelligence is going to come into every area of our society, including policing. So yes, I mean, what they're telling me is absolutely that there'll be more robotized or robot cops, absolutely. But take a step back from RoboCop, the movie, for a second. They already have robots moving around to help in dangerous situations for, disabling bombs, for example.
Right.
So yeah, there will be more robotized police support, and it will use artificial intelligence, but in a way that will help identify people. So you could actually, within fractions of a second, determine whether you're talking to the right suspect. So yeah, it will happen. It will happen.
Okay. What do you see Murdoch's news? What do you see for Rupert Murdoch's news enterprise? Will some governments put the stop to this propaganda mill?
They will. And you know what? The process has already started. So I think Australia right now is kind of in the lead with trying to limit some of the Rupert Murdoch's news enterprises and kind of the things that are being said. I know there's 2 prime ministers that have already spoken out in Australia. So here's what I'm getting. Australia is kind of leading in that area. It will then be followed by Europe, like the UK, and then the US will follow behind that in terms of limiting some of the Murdoch's enterprises, the news enterprises, because the news can't be all about fantasy land, right? You got to have some truth there.
Exactly.
So, but it looks to me like it's Australia first, then Europe, and then the US.
Okay. Do aliens understand the concept of we are one? And do they consider us to be one with them?
They do understand the larger purpose of the universe and the one force and the one God. They understand certainly as the one force. I don't know, some may use the term God, but they understand how everything goes together in the universe, and they understand everybody's place in the universe, including our place. So I think that was the question they were asking. The last part of that question was, do they understand they're like us? Is that what it said?
They understand we are one with them too.
Yeah, so they understand how it all fits together, and they understand everybody's place, including our place. Yeah.
Okay. What is light language or light codes?
What my guides are telling me is that light language, light is energy, and light has a certain wavelength to it. And yes, you can communicate with light. We already have technologies to communicate with light. So aliens, extraterrestrials, do communicate with light language. They do. It's more limited for human beings because human beings only see a very small portion, what we call the visible light spectrum. Human beings don't see, for example, ultraviolet or infrared. So yeah, they're light language and extraterrestrials use it, and it's energy based. Yes.
Okay, will companies like Apjet be investigated and held accountable for receiving 1.3 billion, whoa, from the 45 administration for COVID syringes? They have not even started building the manufacturing facility yet. Oh my God.
Yes, so that's all part of what they're just telling me is a larger rollout and investigations on loans that were given to various companies. So it looks like a lot of the dollars you just highlighted were loans. But because, so I mean, the Democrats and some other organizations here are already starting investigations. So yeah, it'll all be investigated and it will come to light and some of the money will get repaid. So yeah.
Okay. There's a property called Coral Castle in Florida, sculpted by one man, supposedly by himself. I think I know this one. I think some show did a thing on it. No one can figure out how he moved huge pieces of limestone. Can you tell us how he did it? Have you ever seen anything?
I can, yeah. This is that, it looks like a big castle, a bunch of rocks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this was extraterrestrial technology that was given to this individual. You know, and it was supposed to lead to some other things. So besides just him building, he was moving several ton rocks around, but it was supposed to lead to some other uses of the technology. For some reason, the extraterrestrials involved didn't feel it was the right path or the right time.
Okay.
So it was extraterrestrial technology that could have been very helpful to all of us. But you know how people are. So
yeah, right. Is the legend of the white buffalo true?
and for me, this goes across Indian culture. So I don't do the Comanche, because that's part of your tribe, right? Comanche. Yeah. Do they talk about the white buffalo? Well, here's what I get. I get is that it's real.
Yeah.
White buffaloes are real. And what I also get is that the messaging with the white buffalo is also real, which it's like peace and prosperity and goodwill. And so when it actually does come about, you know, some would say that this is a biological thing that happens, a recessive gene or something with the white buffalo.
Like an albino, yeah.
Yeah, but what I'm being told is that my guides are saying, don't be so fast, because when we offer up the white buffalo, it actually is an answer to prayer and to larger things happening. Oh. So it's kind of neat. It's true. Right. Yeah.
What does Gaia want to concentrate on first to heal the planet?
And I think that's Gaia, right? The Gaia, goddess of the earth. Yeah.
But I don't know what it is.
Oh, got it. Well, what that goddess was all about. So that is a living energy. That's a living earth energy. And the messaging there is that one of the most important things in healing the planet is, interesting enough, peace among the populations. So peace first of humankind, mankind, womankind, and then moving on from there is a great understanding of purpose, why we're here. That will lead towards healing the earth. So that's the message they want to get across. It's almost peace among ourselves, humans, is one of the most first important steps.
That's great. When we face our fears, does it make us stronger? When we stand up for each other, does that make us stronger?
Absolutely. That's an easy one. Absolutely. And that's all why we're here. Some refer it as the refining fire, but we're down here in a school, and the more you accelerate your life path as you get through lessons and you face your fears.
Exactly. What about DNA, ancestry, etc., and how does that work with a past life? Example, does a past life when reborn carry the same DNA as the previous life? Oh, that's interesting.
Well, so DNA is a physical attribute and it doesn't align directly with the spiritual, your spirit. So your spiritual families are together, but the DNA component is material on this planet.
Exactly.
So yeah, I mean, that's all there is to it,
Right. I do feel like a DNA, it's probably the wrong word. I'm using the wrong word because like you said, it's material. But there is sort of like this thing that we take in spirit form too. And there's certain
Yeah,
things that you will be stamped with that you need to go through. There's certain aspects of your spirit. You always have free will,
right.
but it's like there's certain things that go in families, even diseases and stuff that can follow at times. But there's a spiritual one too. I don't know what I got that one day reading a woman.
I agree.
Are the people with psychic abilities able to tell a fake spiritualist from someone with real abilities?
You can, and it's not just psychic mediums, but all people. But here's the thing: at a very core level, truth resonates across everybody. So truth resonates,
Right.
and then if you look at it from the I guess the view here of, let's say, a psychic medium, somebody that does that on a regular basis, there's access to all the gifts that also cause resonance. So whether it's clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairsentient, all those things will be indicators of whether you're receiving information that's truthful or not. So it's a resonance inside of all human beings that rings the truth, yes or no.
Right, exactly. Are we as a society actually moving towards living in tiny houses, or is that a temporary trend?
That's a temporary environmental trend, because long term, as we go decades out, there'll be more people living underground in the seas. And so right now, there's a focus on just the land as we know it. And so tiny houses are an interim artifact.
Okay. Made me think of what's the name with Bruce
The
Willis?
Fifth Element.
The fifth, yeah. Remember how they lived in those little tiny places?
I do.
I'm wondering if an animal who has crossed needs to be brought in by a human, or can they come to you on their own?
Well, first off, animals are part of the angelic realm. Their spirits move very freely backwards and forth. They move over to the other side. They can move over to us. There isn't a rainbow bridge. I see that comment all the time. The pets have to go over a rainbow bridge. But I think that was the question they're asking. Pets move freely. They're part of the angelic realm. They cross over well. They don't need a human being to help them across. But what they do join our spiritual families when they cross, which are all of our relatives now. Yeah.
But when they come back, like my Moochie came to me in full form. I saw the dog.
Okay,
Did
so
the dog
that
have to have assistance?
Yeah, and are we talking about like an apparition
Yeah.
of an animal? No, they still don't need human
Okay.
help with that. No.
A lot of my clients, I don't know if you have the same thing, they talk about a particular dog and they can literally feel the dog on their bed.
Oh yeah, and so that happens. I guess maybe I didn't understand the question, but they don't need a human's help, but they'll certainly make themselves known to their human parents.
Moochie stayed around for a while, but he's gone now, but he stayed around for a while.
Yeah.
Do you see anything coming up next week, my friend?
Yeah, I do. It's interesting. I picked up a few more kind of fires, like some significant fires coming up, believe it or not, around the nation. And I don't know what would cause that, but with some fires, some kind of a little bit more earthquake activity around the nation, more earthquakes next week. And I don't see anything, let's say, major, but there are a lot of like scatter earthquakes in the US. More police violence, unfortunately. I mean, I don't know what we're on a run here with police violence. But I also do see major continued effort here this week on police reform, some activity, some legislation on police reform. And they're also calling out like racial reform, like whether it's partly Black Lives Matter, Asian Pacific, AAPI. But I see more reforms and legislation coming through here on racial reform. So good week. Yeah.
So like on this morning on MSNBC, our new president has great ratings considering how bad Trump was. He doesn't have as good as Obama at this time.
Right.
He's up there. And a lot of people are for the things he's wanting to do.
Yeah, and a lot of things you and I talked about months ago, before Biden got in office, the green programs and all the green
Yes, we
economy.
talked about that.
And you can see you can see that every week goes by, he's announcing more green technology, green economy, green jobs. It's the new, the new deal kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
And Deborah Haaland, a tribal member she's the Interior, right? Department of Interior.
right.
She
Mhm.
stopped all that stuff that he was allowing people to mine on federal lands. She got them all out of there.
By the way, the most surprising thing I saw, I even hate to bring this up, but I saw there's a whole QAnon movement in Japan, believe it or not. Isn't that surprising? I caught that on CNN last night, that there's a QAnon, effort. They show people protesting in the streets, and I wasn't sure I could wrap my head around it. But it's just amazing the amount of false information running around and the false narrative. It's crazy.
So Russia's trying to hit Japan too.
Yeah.
QAnon is Russia related.
Oh, sure it is.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Do you have any information that your guides want to share?
Yeah, and this, like a lot of times, goes full circle with some of the things we talked about here. The biggest information they want to get out to everybody is trust your guides, trust the information you receive, trust what you receive from the universe. Because I feel like a lot of people that actually watch these shows and watch the things we do, many of them are already very spiritual and they get information, but they don't trust it. So the messaging this week from my guides and angels are, get on board, start trusting the information you receive, then you're getting that good information out there. So that's what they want to say.
That's great. That's very good. Thank you so much. So
Yeah,
bye,
thank
everybody.
you.
We'll see you next Sunday.
Absolutely.
Cheers.